Accents are formed based on the region in which you were born and raised, the language or languages that you speak, the pronunciations that you've been exposed to, and where you studied. How do we reconcile the accent that we hear when people speak with the place that they're residing, especially when it is different to what we were expecting? Let's have the conversation.
The Jam Fam family. Jam Fam, come hang with me. Yeah.
Hello, Wagwan. Big up yourself, whether you're there yard or you're there abroad. Welcome back to another episode of Life with the Jam Fams. In this video, we're going to be talking about the Jamaica accent syndrome. We're going to be talking about the Jamaican accent syndrome. Some Jamaicans view the accent that is developed from speaking patois in a very negative way, whilst other people across the world are rather fascinated by it, in pretty much the same way that we are fascinated by their sound when we hear it. And people tend to want to mimic the sound of other people because they are so intrigued by the way that it sounds. And so they want to do that when they're in conversation with people because it creates this sense of connection and association. And we're going to take a deep dive into some of the nuances that are associated with speaking with a particular accent or sound. If you consider the typical languages that we hear here in the West, such as English, French, Spanish, Portuguese, and to some extent Mandarin, you will see that in each of these languages, combinations of letters create very different sounds. And therefore, there is a difference in the way that people are going to sound as a result based on the language that they speak. So someone in Quebec is going to sound slightly different to someone who is in Toronto because they're speaking different languages. Equally, you will find that based on the way in which words are pronounced, create different sounds, and hence why in a given country you might find a range of different accents. For example, someone in Birmingham speaking is going to sound very different to someone who is living in London because they pronounce things differently. In spite of these things, people still tend to associate a typical sound or accent with given countries, and then they will say, oh, that's a Nigerian accent, or that's a German accent, or they will say that's a Jamaican accent or a Trinidadian accent, for example. And at the same point in time, different people within those countries living in different locales tend to have very different and distinct sounds. The reason people associate these countries with a specific sound is because what they are describing is the received pronunciation. It is often what we hear on mass media and what is commonly portrayed as the accents for these countries. If you take Jamaica, for instance, oftentimes the accents that people associate with Jamaica, they tend to think that when they hear Jamaicans, that those people aren't really Jamaicans speaking with a Jamaican accent, because the accent they normally associate as a received pronunciation are those from reggae and dance hall music videos, and also from the people who are interviewed that are performers in those spheres. Additionally, they see videos of interviews of people who are randomly selected on the streets of Kingston, or people who call into different radio talk shows that people are also hearing those individuals speak, and they associate those sounds with the received pronunciation of a Jamaican accent. And so many people are oblivious to the fact that there are many different accents within Jamaica itself. Why is it that people seem to pick up accents so easily? Why are people so fascinated with accents and the need to refine not only their sounds, but also suggesting the refining of other people's accents? Here are two poems that Louise Bennett have done to address these concerns. Not Even Little Twang, and then we're going to play the one that says, Dry Foot Boy.
Why you not shame us so you come after you stand so long? Not even little language boy, not even little twang. And your sister work 1 week with American and she talks so sweet now that we have the juice, you understand? couldn't improve yourself and you get so much pay? You spend 6 months of foreign and come back ugly same way. Not even a drapes trousers. Not a pass the rhythm coat. Boy, not even a gold teeth, not a gold chain around your throat. Suppose I ask my pastor to introduce it to a stranger as my lamented son that lately come from America. Them would have laughed after me, boy, I couldn't tell them so. Them would have said me liar was I spent time at Moko. Don't back answer me, boy, you talk too much, shut up your mouth. I don't know how you and your father are going to make it out. If you want to please him, make him think you bring back something new. You always call him Pa. This evening when him comes, say Pooh. What wrong with Mary Dryfoot, boy? Them gal got him for mock. And since I meet him the other night, the boy give me a shock. Me tell him same aunt and him cousin, them saying howdy. Me ask him how I'm getting on, him say, Ujola, Ujola. Me start to feel so sorry for the poor bad lucky soul. Me think him go up foreign land, go catch bad foreign coal. Me say him had a bad sore throat. But when him chat go on, me find out that his foreign twang the boy was a put on. For me notice that him answer to nearly all me say was actually what? Oh dear. All them sitting there. Me get a joke. The girl them laugh. Hear the boy. Ho ho. Ho ho. I'm sure you got the ball to dash it to the cinema. Same time I get in a temper. Me had a boy clear out. I said, don't chat to me with no hot pity at in your mouth. Him stand up like him stunted and hear me. How so? I'm sure I really just don't understand you, actually. I said, you understand me? Are you near cousin Scoop? You always visit Nana kitchen and get laugh at gungo soup. And now all you can say is actually. Why but tap? What happened to them sweet Jamaica joke you use for pop? He get back and walk through the door, him head in the air. The girl them ball out after him. Not going. What? Oh dear.
The primary thing that we need to know is that no matter how you speak, no matter how you sound, there are always going to be people who appreciate it, and there are also always going to be people who have a problem with how you sound. The key thing is being confident in how you sound and knowing that that is the way in which you want to be perceived. When people move to places where there are different pronunciations of words, over time they will start to gradually pronounce things in a similar way because they are being exposed to that on a regular basis. However, that's often not a conscious change. Many people make the conscious effort to retain their native accent because they do not really see the need to mimic the accents of people in their new habitat, especially because of global migration, where certain cities that you move to is a melting pot of accents. There was a time in history, though, where people were required to speak a certain way in order to be able to have access to certain crowds or to certain sphere, and therefore people were more consciously mimicking the accents of the people in the new habitat to which they are residing. Children and adolescents are more likely to pick up accents because they are interacting with a variety of people who have a different sound to theirs. Equally, they are more keen to adjust and to fit in so that they are better understood by the people that they are speaking to. Equally, their accent is at a state where it can be transitioned because they're also still developing as individuals. Adults have more core accent formation, and as such, their change in their sound is going to be much more subtle changes and changes that happens over a longer period of time. Why then do some adult Jamaicans tend to have a significant accent shift when they move from Jamaica elsewhere? Well, there are many reasons for this. It could be the part of the country that they have moved to and the significant sound difference that they experience and the need to be more understood by the people that they're interacting with. The other side of it could also be that they might need to learn a new language, and therefore that is also going to have some impact on their sound. And then it could also be that people are just doing so so that they can better fit into the environment that they are in. Currently, with global migration as big as it is, a lot of these metropolitan cities that people are moving into have people who are migrating there from a wide variety of different countries and therefore having very different sounds. And that means that with all these people speaking different accents, there is a lot less pressure on individuals to assimilate with regards to their sound. There are also many Jamaicans who migrate and are very intentional about retaining their accent and their sound. Hence, although there are subtle changes in the way that they will sound over time, it doesn't really have the profound effect that it would have had if they were less intentional about it. And some of them have a change when they start to have children and start to grow families, because they're more conscious at sounding words in a way that their children are going to hear on a day-to-day basis, and also to help with their children's sound formations. Whilst living in the UK, I was very intentional about making effort to retain my Jamaican accent to the best of my ability. Of course, over time, there are some subtle changes that I've noticed in the way I pronounce things. However, I would be constantly told by people who I come into contact with in the UK that I don't sound Jamaican. And I understood that to mean that the received pronunciation that they associate with Jamaica is not the way in which I sound. And so they would try to ascribe me to other countries other than Jamaica. Have you ever had that happen to you when you are speaking to other people in other countries? However, I do believe that people have different accents in the way that they sound when they're speaking in different settings. And for people who speak multiple languages, they definitely showcase different accents when they're speaking different languages. It is also worth knowing that there is one other thing that does have an impact on your accent, and that is your profession. Have you ever heard somebody say, okay, I'm going to put on my reporter voice now, or I'm going to put on my parent voice now, my teacher voice now? And there are different ways in which your tone sounds, and that in itself can also have a slight impact on your accent. So for example, as a patois speaker, when I'm speaking patois, I'm going to sound very differently, because me I go sound different. I just so you go, you talk one different language now. However, when you're speaking English, for example, there are also different ways in which you will speak English. So if you're speaking English casually to people, then there is a way in which you're going to sound in terms of your tone. Whereas if you're speaking English in the way that you would speak it in terms of your profession, again, that might also take on a difference. So you might be able to put on your teacher voice or some other voice, so that becomes your formal sound. If you speak multiple languages, you have the accent for those languages that you speak, and then you might also find that even in those languages you have a casual sound, and you also have a formal way in which you sound when you're speaking those languages. Do you notice that you have different accents while speaking the same language? If you could change your accent, which one would you replace it with? Answer these questions in the comment below. We'd like to hear your response. This whole idea of accent is one that is very intriguing, because there are so many different accents out there. Some are like music to your ears. Others, for some people, can just be irritating. However, these are accents and sounds that people have developed and that we need to learn how to appreciate in others. Eleona, what are you doing this Sunday morning? Or, well, it's afternoon now.
I'm playing with my friends.
Where are you playing? What are you playing?
I'm playing the game with my friends.
Okay. You finish everything you have to do for today?
I stubbed the stuff. I woke up early and did mine.
I like it. It looks really nice.
Thank you.
Yep. It's giving voluminous and shiny.
Thank you.
So I think that probably suggests health. Nice and healthy looking.
Mm-hmm.
So, who are those friends? Is it your friends from the UK or your friends from Jamaica?
UK.
Okay. I'm going to let you continue your... So, what's happening here? Where's the other foot?
I don't know.
I'm sure you had it. I saw you with it this morning. So what happened?
I don't know.
Okay. Okay then. Well, how long is left on the game?
I don't know.
Or is it not a timed one? Okay.
Replay.
That's fine then. We'll see how far you go and then we need to go get into doing some things together. But the good thing is you finish all that you had to do. So we'll then need to think about school prep. Okay. See you later. So today it's a Maths Explore exhibition. It's Maths Day in our region, in the Manchester region, and so we have a lot of primary schools coming out to the event and the function. And well, I decided that I wanted to participate, and I was invited to do an exhibit. So I'm here showing some conceptual learning approach for maths, and so it's an awesome day. So we've got all these different schools gathered here. They're just doing a welcome assembly at the moment, and so my section that I'm at is here, and I've got a few things I'm going to have to restock up because they've been quite busy and actively engaged in some of the activities here. So I'm going to need to reset up some of my things because before I even finish setting up, they were keen to come and do some of the activities, which is amazing that they are keen to explore their maths. So this is our table after I reset up because we had a group of primary school earlier, and we've just reset up now. Somebody draw that on, so I'm going to need to replace that with a new one. So that's our setup. They're a big winner amongst the adults who come by, and the children actually like playing them too. It's a little bit of a longer activity though than some of the other ones that we have set up on our table, but we need a bigger space for some of the activities, but we're working with it, so it should be fine. This is the face that was behind the camera talking to you, so we're just trying to see how we can enjoy this day. I've had a good work so far, and now I'm just going to try and see how I can engage with some of the students who are coming by again. It's been fun so far.
The Johnson family, where I living the good life. We're royal, cruising through the West Indies, having fun, enjoying the good life. Johnson family, the Johnson family, yeah. The Johnson family, where I living the good life. We're royal, cruising through the West Indies, having fun, enjoying the good life. Johnson family, the Johnson family, yeah. Johnson, come hang with me. The Johnson family. Jam fam, come hang with me, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Thank you so much for engaging with us here on this another conversation on Life with the Jam Fams. It's such a pleasure to have you and have these opportunities to have these conversations with you. We look forward to reading some of your comments in the comment section. Bye for now, and we will see you in the next one.